Good evening and welcome to the first show of the year for In the Spotlight. My name is Tabitha Collins and we have a special guest this evening is Miss Chiletta Walls. And Miss Walls is a life coach, certified life coach, a growth coach, and a business solution strategist. And Miss Walls hails from originally Pennsylvania and has been reared in the Pennsylvania school system and is now living in North Carolina over the last 20 plus years, I believe, 25 years. And she has been in business for over 25 years as well as a corporate trainer. She has been a marketing executive for her current job. She is also a developing and project management. She's done sales, director of creative development, client services, and a list of hosts of other things that she can do. She is definitely multi-talented. And we'd like to welcome her to our show this evening. And this is, again, the first show of the new year for In the Spotlight. Welcome, Chiletta, and thank you so much for being our first guest of the new year.
Thank you, Tabitha. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm excited.
And Charlotte, if you could go into what is a life coach? What is a growth coach? Keeping in mind that our theme this year from 2022 is I'm trying. We're educating, we're empowering, and we are encouraging. And that is what our show is all about, uplifting and the community with tools to be successful in this up and coming year. So if you could go into a little bit of what all that entails for our audience.
Absolutely. Sure. So I was really excited to hear that your theme for the year is I'm trying, with those powerful words, educate, encourage, empower, because that really is what life coaching is all about. It really is. So the common misconception that a lot of people have about coaching, period, is that it's like counseling, or this person is going to fix me, or they're going to show me what to do with my life and help me get out of my own way. And we do help you in that aspect to a degree, but coaching really is about empowered. It's empowered way of moving forward, and it really is client driven. It's driven by you, the client, who reaches out to say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. Here's where I'm trying to go. Here's what I'm trying to solve in my life. And I just need a coach. Think about a football team and a coach. What does the coach do? The coach is not on the field. The players are on the field. So in a coaching relationship, the client is that player on the field, and the coach is just helping to navigate, kind of coming alongside them saying, okay, let's try this. Let's try that. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? It's a series of transformational conversations that ultimately lead to that person arriving at their own aha moments, as opposed to me feeding it to them. So that's kind of life coaching in a nutshell, and it's specifically related to either specific things in that person's life that they're trying to overcome or achieve, or it may be that they're trying to align with their life purpose and goals. So I hope that answers your question. And then growth coaching, you also asked me, sorry. Growth coaching is based upon the GROW model. GROW is an acronym. It stands for goals, reality, options, and will. So what's your goal? What's your present state? Like, how do we get here? What are your options? And then what will you do? What's our plan? And growth coaching is usually 6 weeks that we walk through the process of trying to achieve a specific goal over that time. And there's a very structured process and way of getting there.
And where does the business solution strategist come into all of those at?
So that was actually really interesting how that happened. I was working with a coach myself. I've been doing the life coaching piece for 8, going on 9 years now. And then I always had these kind of conversations on the side with people. Friends would reach out, hey, can you look at my website? Hey, can you help me solve this problem? I'm trying to figure out this process, different things like that. I found at work, I'm always kind of the gap finder, or the person who is just kind of poking holes in things and asking hard questions. And it ultimately led to, I could take this and put this and offer this as something of value to individuals and entrepreneurs who are trying to move forward in their business, either by showing up in a more polished way, or by overcoming hurdles, obstacles, resistance, self-sabotage, things that continue to get in their way as they're on their way to their goals. So what I do is I either through both growth coaching, help them work towards a specific goal, or through polish coaching, we elevate the way they show up. We look at their whole situation. Let's look at your website. Let's look at your social media. Let's look at your verbiage on your website. Is it clear? Is it concise? It's all of those things. And it's just helping that person to gain clarity and elevate the way they show up in a nutshell.
I definitely can't wait to hire you myself. That is definitely something that In the Spotlight is looking to do going forward in 2022. And now go into a little bit of Ignite Her Life and
Mm.
how people can get plugged in and how people can find you, and if they want to have a life coach, if they want some services, what can they expect when they come to your page? Um, to what can they find, and how
Mhm.
can they, you know, get around on your site to find specifically what they may need. Maybe they don't need a life coach, but they need to know tools to just tools of success and things of that nature. So tell us a little bit
Sure.
about the navigation around um, Ignite Her Life.
Absolutely. So Ignite Her Life has been around since 2013. Started in my living room with a bunch of actually started at a sports bar with a bunch of coworkers who got together and thought we would do like the women's empowerment thing, kind of uplift and strengthen each other. And it evolved into me becoming the leader, and then ultimately kind of breaking off and it being my thing. And I named it Ignite Her Life. So it is Ignite Her Life is coaching it's faith-based coaching for women, but I do coach men. I don't discriminate. I do coach men, but Ignite Her Life, easiest way to connect with me is through the website, which is www.igniteherlife.com. And there, if you click on coaching, you can connect to the business solutions, or you can schedule a consultation just to talk through if we're a good fit, if working with me is something that you might want to do. There's also in the bottom right-hand corner a chat box where you can connect with me by chat if you would just want a quick interaction. And then we offer free coaching through Meetup. So meetup.com is a place where people get together and meet up, whether it be locally and in person, or lots of virtual meetups happening since the pandemic. So everything we've done for the last 2 years has been virtual, but we still offer quite a few free webinars, coaching series through Ignite Her Life on meetup.com, and people can get plugged in there as well.
And Charlotte, I want you to tell some of the women, because we are shining the light on healing and restoration, and we're empowering and encouraging women, men, boys, girls of all nations, nationalities. We're a global based community television station. So this is going out all the way to the hedges and byways, compelling men to come. I know I've been a part of some of Ignite's powerful sessions, and healing has taken place, and brokenness has been restored. Um, Tell some of the audience how some of your local events they can get plugged into, and or like you said, with everything going on in the community and the state of the climate, how that could even look virtually to them. So share with them about that, maybe a quick minute or two, and then we'll break for a commercial from our sponsors.
Sure, absolutely. The number one thing that I probably say the most, I have what I call shy isms, and they're just things that I repeat that are on repeat over and over again. Probably the one that I say most consistently is you don't need fixing, because we are in this we have this culture where I think it goes all the way back to Adam and Eve in the garden, and Eve eating from that fruit because she thought it would make her smart, she thought it would make her wise. But the thought before that had to be because clearly I'm not enough the way that I am. So we live and we act from this place of unworthiness, or this place of feeling like we're not enough, or feeling like there's a void that we have to fill, or if I just get into this relationship, this diet, this workshop, this book, this whatever it is, this will fix me. And because that doesn't work, there is no magic fix me fruit. People usually end up lacking, or they end up striving and moving on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So that would be the number one piece that I would say to anyone listening out there is you don't need fixing. What you need to do is change your story. You change your story, you'll change your life. It does require some soul searching. It does require an honest assessment of where you are and how you got here. And because what got you here won't get you there. You can't go into your new reality with the same thinking that puts you at this place. But you absolutely can overcome every obstacle, every hurdle, anything that's held you back up until now, if you take charge of your life. That's what life coaching is all about.
Charlotte, thank you so much. And we're going to take a quick commercial break and listen to our sponsors. And that is also a great segue into the second half when we talk about reframing our resolutions. Going into 2022, we make all of these New Year's resolutions. How are we going to reframe our mindset, renew our mind, and in these 2022 upcoming year and going forward? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll be back in one short moment.
Are you ready to buy a new home or refinance a home? Call Quentin Johnson at Homestar Financial. Homestar Financial offers competitive rates for home improvement, new construction, FHA, VA, conventional, and USDA loans. Take advantage of today's low interest rates by being a smart and prepared buyer. Get pre-approved today and find out just how much house you can afford. Call Quentin Johnson at Homestar Financial, 704-526-4007, extension 50306. Homestar Financial makes home ownership a reality. In MLS 161685, equal housing lender.
Thank you, and welcome back to In Your Spotlight. Again, my name is Tabitha Collins, and this is our first year in the 2022 season of In Your Spotlight. And we have again with us this evening, Chiletta Walls, Chiletta Marie. She is a life coach for Ignite Her Life. And we are coming back in this second half to talk about this whole New Year's resolution. So I did a little research for you. So we're going by 2020 statistics. Only 28% of survey participants made a resolution in 2020. Think about that. Overall, the most popular resolution from last year was to exercise more. 50% of people said that. Save money, 49%. Eat healthier, 43%. Most participants, 64%, kept the same resolution as they had from the prior years. And why we're bringing that up is to tie in educating and empowering and encouraging and the whole I'm trying with our theme of this year here at the station at WYTV7. And we want to dive in really quick to reframing your resolution. Chiletta, how can we reframe our resolution from all these statistics and January 1st or January 2nd, we're going to go work out, and then by March, we're not working out and we're eating unhealthy again and picking up the same habits that we had prior to when we made the resolution? How can we reframe our mind?
That is an amazing question, Tabitha. And believe it or not, most people don't make it to March. The statistics show that most people make it just past the second week before they start to fall off from those very well-intended New Year's resolutions. So the statistics are not pretty. And so there's got to be something there. There's got to be a pattern there. Or there's got to be some type of mindset, something consistent that's causing people to fail in this effort. And because we're talking about this theme of I'm trying, I think we first need to acknowledge that people make resolutions because they want to try. They want to try to improve their life. They're trying to do better. They're trying to move their life into a new space. And nobody wants to fail. Nobody goes into this saying, I'm going to drop this in 2 weeks. We all go into it with the best of intentions. But for whatever reason, we fall down. And so I've come up with this acronym. The acronym is VIEW, VIEW, because as we're taking a look into our 2022, maybe we're going to look at it a little bit differently and maybe show up a little bit differently. But I like to use acronyms because it helps people to remember, just something easy to help you just remember these few little steps. So the first is the V, which is vision. And, people talk about vision all the time. At this time of year, it's vision, 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 vision boards, write the vision, make it plain, all of those things, absolutely necessary, right? Because if you don't have a destination, if there's a Bible scripture that says faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Well, if hope is the car, faith is the gas, right? You got to have something to put your faith into, a vehicle to put your faith into. But if you don't have a vision, which is a destination, you're just going to sit in the driveway with all your hope and all your faith, till you run out of gas, right? Absolutely. So you have to have a destination in mind, and that is your vision. But I want to take that a step further and reframe vision a little bit differently, right? Because we're reframing our resolution. This is really about your self-image and the way you see yourself. So there is a quote that Zig Ziglar is famous for saying, and it's, "You cannot consistently perform in a manner which is inconsistent with the way you see yourself." I'll say that again. You cannot consistently perform in a manner that is inconsistent with the way you see yourself. And it actually, Zig Ziglar is not the first person who said that. It actually comes from Dr. Maxwell Maltz, who wrote the book Psycho-Cybernetics. Dr. Maxwell Maltz was a plastic surgeon turned psychoanalyst who could not figure out why you could take someone who had a birth defect or needed a nose job or for whatever reason they showed up for plastic surgery, and half of them would go on to live very happy lives, very pleased with the results. And the other half, even though the surgery was successful, would be just as miserable, if not more so, than when they first came in. And he finally concluded that it had to be something beyond the look. It had to be something going on up here. And so he started researching and determined that it really comes down to the way you see yourself. So along with that surgery that's changing the outside, if something doesn't shift on the inside, if something doesn't shift in your mindset, if something doesn't shift if the way you see yourself is not elevating along with you elevating, you'll literally pull yourself back down to where you were. So let's say that you lost 20 pounds. If you don't see yourself as that new person at that weight and being, worthy or being able to accept yourself at that new size, you're going to put that 20 pounds back on. And that's probably the simplest example that I can give you. So vision, that the V in view is about changing the way you see yourself and bringing it into alignment with where you're going. As you elevate, your self-image has to elevate, and it has to keep going like this, right? Or eventually this is going to come back down here to where you're comfortable, and it happens all the time. The second thing is insight. And that's simply self-awareness, right? You got to know where you're starting from. I know my stuff. I know my crazy. I know that I'm usually the one come January 1st and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to lose 50 pounds by the 31st, right? No, you're not.
Right.
You're not, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of it, is that we make these completely unrealistic demands upon ourselves. We didn't get here overnight. We're not going to change it overnight. But we do need to take an honest assessment of where we are and how we got here, looking at our patterns, looking at the places that we've fallen down before. One thing I've learned about myself is I do really well on an eating plan as long as I plan for it. That means I have food, I have the right food in the house. I have a plan for what my meals are going to be, because if I don't, come 3 o'clock in the afternoon when I'm tired and I need a break from work, I'm going to go grab the first thing, right? It's usually the bad thing. So that's something that I know going into this, I need to prepare. That's insight, that's self-awareness. And that requires a very honest look at who you are, how you got here, and where you really want to go. Looking at your patterns and being prepared for those things. The next is the E, and stop me at any time if you have any questions, but
right.
The next is
this
the
is
E.
Good. This is good for our audience.
Okay.
I'm
okay.
all in.
All right. So we're spelling out the word view, and next is E. And this one's going to be a little bit different. This one is eat slowly. Eat slowly. And so when I'm coaching, it sounds a little bit corny, but I teach this technique called, a dream pizza. If you think about how you eat a pizza, right? So you have this whole pizza pie. you cannot consume an entire pizza in one bite. You can't. If you cut it up into slices, you cannot consume an entire slice at once. You have to take bite-sized chunks, right? Or you're going to die, right? You're going to choke, you're going to die. It's the same thing with our goals and aspirations. So if your big goal, if your big dream is the pizza, is the whole, then your slices are your goals. So the pizza is the dream. The slices are your goals, and we like to call them SMART goals. SMART goals are specific, they're measurable, they're achievable, they're relevant, and they're time bound. Okay, otherwise you're just going to be spinning and you're not going anywhere. We're breaking those, we're taking that big thing and we're chunking it down into slices, manageable slices. And even then, you can only consume it one bite at a time. So what are your action steps? What are you going to do first? And then next, and then next, and just do the next right thing, as opposed to trying to take it in all at once, which is where you get overwhelmed and you shut down. So eat slowly is just consuming things in small, actionable chunks that you can consume and build momentum as you go to ultimately achieve those goals, which ultimately leads to you achieving that big dream. And the last thing is your why. And we probably should have started with the why. It just doesn't match up with my acronym. But your why is so important. Your why will keep you going when it gets hard. Your why will keep you going beyond the emotion. So I always say there's a difference between motive and motivation. Motivation is emotional. You heard a talk at church, you went to a conference, you had a bad incident in a dressing room and Ross, and decided you were going to change your whole life because of this incident, right? Because this dress didn't fit you right. That's emotion. That's motivation. That I'm fixing this. That's it. Tomorrow, it's always tomorrow or Monday, right? We're going to, do whatever. And usually that does not last because it's an emotional decision. So you need to have something that's going to carry you and sustain you beyond that emotion in the moment. And that means something about your motive has to change. Something about your why on a core level has to change. And I think we've all had those times where you drew that line in the sand and you're like, I'm never going back here. That was me probably 13, 14 years ago when I stopped smoking cold turkey. I was like, I'm never smoking again. And I never did, right? I drew a line in the sand. It has to be like that. Something in here with your why on a deep core level has to shift. And that will keep you going and that will sustain you beyond the emotion, beyond the hard days, beyond the when you don't feel like it anymore or you're bored, connecting with that why. And I'll tell you one more thing there, because we already talked about fix me fruit. So I won't go back into that. But when you ask yourself why, don't stop with the first why. There's a technique called the 5 whys. So if I say to you, Tabitha, why do you want to lose weight? And you say, well, I want to live a more healthy lifestyle. Why? Well, because I'm tired all the time. Well, why? Right? So you keep asking why, go 5 layers down, because really that's how you're going to get to the real why. The one that you either may not be ready to face, the one you may not even be aware of. You might go 5 levels down and really get to, I'm scared I'm not going to be here for my kids when they get older, right? That's a real why. And when you can connect with that real why, that gets deep inside of you. And that moves it beyond being just a selfish thing where, I want to look a little bit better. Now you're connecting to something that's beyond you and people that are beyond you. You realize that your story, all of our stories are interconnected and we need each other. And it moves beyond yourself. And even that is fuel to help carry you forward, even when you feel like stopping. So I'll pause there and ask you, is that making sense? Do you have any questions there?
That makes perfect sense. And just so our audience realizes, so reframing your resolutions was vision, insight, eat slowly, which I loved, and the whys. And then you can even break it down into the 5 whys. Chiletta, thank you so much for being our guest this evening. Thank you for coming on to my first in the spotlight of 2022. Please tell our guests again how they can get in contact with you really quick.
Absolutely. So you can reach me. You can go to www.igniteherlife.com. Now, again, guys, it's perfectly fine. I do work with men. That's just the easiest way to get to me, is to go to igniteherlife.com and either use the little contact form in the corner, or you can click to have a consultation and we can just chat and see if we're a good fit. You can also go to meetup.com and search for Ignite Her Life and sign up for our free coaching, which we do periodically, fairly frequently, actually, which is really how we started, with just offering free coaching to the community.
Thank you for being a part of reframing your resolution and giving us the insight on how to encourage, educate, and empower our guests on in the spotlight. And if you liked our show, please like us on WYTV7.org. You can find me at Tabitha Spotlight at gmail.com. Tabitha is spelled Tabatha, spotlight at gmail.com. Or you can reach me at 980-907-3136, or you can just find me at WYTV7.org. I come on Thursdays at 6 p.m. And please go onto the website, donate, give to the station. We are a nonprofit based local television station going globally into homes and to across the seas and all the states. And we would like so much for you to check out our platform. And if you like what we're doing, please don't hesitate to give us a donation. Chiletta, again, thank you so much for being on. You were an amazing guest this evening. And I'd just like to remind everyone what Matthews 5:16 says, paraphrasing, we're just letting our light shine so men can see our good works. And we thank you so much for joining us again this evening. Everyone, take care, be safe, and see you next week on In the Spotlight.